Hey, what is going on, guys? DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 9-game NBA main slate on Monday. If it's your first time watching, welcome. My name is DK. I make content for daily fantasy sports, prize picks, and for NBA Top Shots. If you're looking for more in-depth daily fantasy sports content, I offer that on patreon.com. You can check out the packages I offer down below. The sponsor of this video, guys, is Roast Umber. You can use my discount code DKDFS for 20% off your order. They have a few different options here, and my personal favorite being the Nitro. But they also have coffee, decaf as well, a couple different bundles. So if you guys want to give it a try, and you can use my code DKDFS for 20% off. Again, thanks again to Roast Umber for sponsoring. All right, so let's get into this video, but really quick, we have to obviously go over my lineup here from tonight. And it's just, you know, the same old story. It just new ways to lose, right? So I have a low-owned Sabonis. Absolutely smashing, right? On pace for close to 60 fancy points. He had, what, like 47 with 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Injured, out for the game. There was so much value on this slate, so I'm thinking, all right, let me buy into Nikola Jokic, right? There's infinite value. Not many guys at the very top end. A lot of good value plays. Let me just spend up for Nikola Jokic, right? This right here confirms it. Of every DFS player in the world, there's no one that runs worse. Literally just start the whole bench unit. Starters, bench for the game. How about Trey Mann and Alexei Pokusevski? Really good shooting nights from both of them without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'll tell you what. Wow. Such a great night shooting for Trey Mann. 5 of 19. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, but he got beat. Alexei Pokusevski. 3 of 20 shooting. So my two Thunder guys combined 8 of 39 from the field. Let that kind of sink into your mind. Just think about that for a second. 8 of 39. I have Jokic benched and Sabonis injured. And I was on the money line for tournaments, right? If one of those things doesn't happen, if Sabonis doesn't get injured, if Jokic and the rest of the starters don't get benched for the whole second half, if Pokusevski and Mann actually just shoot maybe 30% from the field instead of 5%. It's, again, 5 new ways to lose, right? Unbelievable stuff. So going over the rest of my lineup, I mean, I don't even know what to, you're kind of just speechless at this point, right? I liked Roby for tournament. So here's what I said on Patreon. I was like, The minutes are not secure for him, right? We've seen the starting center for the Thunder play less than 20 minutes. I think it was the last 3 games. But there were only 9 available players. Like, if the minutes are there for Roby, he's a pretty good point per minute guy. So I rolled the dice on him. He absolutely smashed, went for 40 fancy points. Again, Pokusevski and Mann still had solid games while shooting that bad. Imagine if they just had an average shooting game, right? It's just like Davion Mitchell, he was very disappointing last slate. That tilted me to no, I was so tilted about that. But you have to have short-term memory, right? Right back to Davion Mitchell. He was a very clear play. He was under-owned based on recency bias. A smash, right? He should have been one of the highest-owned players, or basically the highest-owned player on the slate, in my opinion. So yeah, that worked out in a big, big way. Sabonis, again, 47 midway through the 4th, 20% ownership, on pace for a huge game. Okay, how about this? Sabonis easily outscoring chalk Devin Booker. And again, not saying chalk Devin Booker was a bad play. I liked Devin Booker, but I faded Booker. I have Sabonis who's smashing. He gets injured. Game goes to overtime. Obviously, Sabonis isn't playing in the overtime. And the chalk Booker give him 5 extra minutes. Alfred Payton, I think, played like 1 second-half minute. Barely played in the second half, which is obviously a little bit tilting. Baisley was another one of the Thunder who had a great shooting night. Wow. I mean, the Thunder in general, I don't know what they shot as a team. It was obviously not good. But, yeah. How about this stat line for Darius Baisley in almost 30 minutes, right? This is a guy that's a pretty decent rebounder. Has been doing some playmaking as well. 18 points and 1 rebound, and that's it, right? It's like, what is that stat line? And obviously Nikola Jokic plays a half. So, and I was a couple points out of the cash. I cashed in the late slate. It just, again, kind of speechless at this point. Ownership in the high stakes. This is the Hall of Famer. So, winning lineup was Maladon, Davion Mitchell, 70%. Brown, Roby, who was 20% owned. Sabonis to 50% owned. Baisley, 100% owned. Trey Mann, 70%. So you saw the Thunder were absolute chalk in high stakes, as they should have been, right? No Shea, tight rotation. They should have been chalk. A lot of these guys just shot awful to bail out the faders, right? The people that were underweight on the Thunder got extremely lucky tonight just because how bad they shot. Basically, game played in the 1970s, right? It was like 80 points, 90 to 85 final score. What is that? But yeah, that's all I got. And then Booker obviously was massive chalk as well. Ugh. It's every night, right? It's something, right? I'm just going to find a new way to lose. But all right, let's move on to the 9-gamer. We'll start off with the Pelicans and the Hornets. So on the Pelican side, CJ McCollum at 9.2K, I think really stands out here. Played 39 minutes, shot awful tonight. Still in for 44 fancy points, though. So good matchup here. Going to dominate the usage. I don't expect Ingram to play. We'll keep an eye on Devontae Graham. Obviously, that would change some things. But assuming the 2 guys have missed tonight, I think CJ looks really good. Jonas Valanciunas has played extremely well over the last few games. Should play, 30 to 34 minutes, somewhere in that range. So the 2 main guys here for the Pelicans in a good matchup look really, really good. We saw Najee Marshall pick up a start. He played 27 minutes tonight. I think if he starts again, he's fair value play. You also saw massive minutes for Jackson Hayes, played 38 minutes. Now, I don't know if we get 38 minutes again from him, but around 30 minutes from him, I think makes him a fair option in the mid-range. And you did see a little bit more run for Alvarado with Devontae Graham out too, so he'd be a viable play. If Graham is out, if Graham is in, I don't think I want to go there. On the Charlotte side, so LaMelo Ball, another game, right? I stacked up that game a couple days ago. Dallas and Charlotte. How about Charlotte going on like a 30-0 run and the game blowing out? It was like a 5-point game late in the 3rd quarter, and the game blows out, so the starters don't get any 4th quarter run. Unreal stuff. But yeah, LaMelo got 30 minutes in the game because of the blowout. He would have played a little bit more. Again, 2 games ago, he saw 36 minutes. The only issue with LaMelo has really just been the minutes at times have not been there. But if he plays mid-30s minutes, I think he is too cheap in a spot like this. Rozier, Bridges obviously have their ceilings as well, but I would prefer LaMelo of the 3. The bigs is kind of just secondary options in Washington, Plumlee, and Harrell. Most likely one of those guys is a good game, but a little bit hard to get to those guys in single entry stuff. Cody Martin at 3.8K should see around 20 minutes, but I think there's going to be better value that opens up. Lakers and Cavs, so this Lakers team has just been awful. LeBron James, tougher spot, but he's going to play huge minutes and do everything for the team. So no issue if you want to pay up for LeBron. Westbrook, too pricey. Monk's been struggling a bit of late. Melo came back and played 23 minutes. THT didn't play a ton last game either. Also did not play well. Keep an eye on the starting lineup. Maybe they start like a Wenyen Gabriel, Dwight Howard against a bigger Cleveland front court. If they do, I think you could obviously consider those guys. Austin Reeves, 3.8K. Again, mid-20s minutes. He's fine, but scoring dependent. On the Cleveland side, it's a pretty good matchup here. I think the main guys look good. Garland at 9.3, as long as this game stays competitive, he's probably playing around 40 minutes and doing everything for the team. And Evan Mobley, since he's been starting more at the 5 or playing more at the 5, his upside has gone way up. So the two main guys here for Cleveland, I think, look good. Kevin Love, you kind of know the drill by now on him, right? The minutes are all over the place. If he plays mid to high 20s minutes, he can have a very good game, but there's times where Kevin Love only plays like 14 minutes, so he's just a tournament option. Let's see, what else? LeVert at 6'1", Lauri Markkanen at 6K, had a huge game 2 games ago, but came right back down to earth. He's like a fair option. Okoro, again, if there's not a lot of value that opens up, then I guess he's all right. He's going to play huge minutes, but really not doing much when he's on the court. Portland and Detroit. So two really bad teams going up against each other. Josh Hart at 8K. I mean, as long as this game stays competitive, and it should, he's going to play 35-plus minutes. So I have no issue if you want to get up to Josh Hart. The mid-range options, Simons, assuming that he's out, Williams will start at the point guard. Fair play, but I would rather go to Chris Dunn for way cheaper. The bigs in Watford and Eubanks, I think, are both fine options. Both are pretty productive good point per minute guys. So I think those two look okay in the mid-range. Value options, I mentioned Dunn. Ellaby, he's fine. But again, I would rather go to Chris Dunn, who has been playing pretty consistent minutes, whether the game stays competitive or blows out. I think we get somewhere around mid-20s minutes. And he's gone for 20-plus now in the last 3 games. Again, he's a guy that's going to do a lot of the ball handling when he's out there. 7, 9, and 4 assists over the last 3 games. I think Chris Dunn stands out as a pretty good value play either way. On the Detroit side, so Jeremy Grant ruled out. Cade Cunningham, 8.4K. I mean, it's a good matchup, and he's playing huge minutes right now. So I think Cade looks pretty good. Also has that shooting guard small forward eligibility, which is nice. Sadiq Bey with Jeremy Grant out. I mean, he should play huge minutes. Won't be as high usage ready at that massive game with Cade Cunningham out, but I still think he's fine. I just would prefer Cade of the 2 spend-ups. And then keep an eye on some of this news, like Corey Joseph and Kelly Olynyk, both questionable. Like if Kojo can't go, maybe a guy like Killian Hayes moves in the starting lineup. I think he'd be an interesting value play. If Olynyk can't go, you'd probably see a little more run for a guy like Marvin Bagley. Isaiah Stewart at 5'1", if he stays out of foul trouble, probably sees around 30 minutes, which just makes him more of a secondary option for me. Utah and Brooklyn, so we should have Conley back in this one. So I think all 3 of the main guards are going to be healthy with Conley, Mitchell, and Clarkson. So of the 3, I think Mitchell probably looks the best. Just has the highest ceiling and is playing big minutes right now. And I like the spot as well. So I think Donovan Mitchell looks pretty good. I think Rudy Gobert makes for a very safe play. He's playing low 30s minutes. He should be able to have his way against Drummond and Nick Claxton, right? So yeah, I think Gobert makes for a very safe option. NAW, my boy, finally getting some more minutes, but with Conley expected to be back in this one, hard for me to go there. Of course, Rudy Gay's played well over the last couple games, but when he was chalk, 3 fancy points in 18 minutes. When I play him, more like it. But yeah, Rudy Gay, I guess, is playable value option. Him and Hernan Gomez will get some more run there without Bogdanovich. On the Brooklyn side, so, tougher spot, but I still think Kevin Durant is a pretty decent option here at 10.7K. Just got to do everything for the team. So, yeah, no issue getting to KD. You're seeing pretty condensed rotation now for Brooklyn, like Bruce Brown, Curry, and Dragic all played pretty significant minutes last game. Bruce Brown's been pretty consistent of late. Seth Curry had a massive game 1 for 40 fancy points. And then Dragic's playing big minutes as well, played 36 minutes. I think of the 3, if I had to pick between them, it would be Dragic just because he's doing a lot of the ball handling when Kyrie is not out there. Drummond at 5'7", and him and Claxton should split that center minutes. Drummond has a ceiling, but also a low floor just because the minutes are not necessarily secure. Claxton at 4K, it's okay. He's gone for like 20-plus now in the last 5 games, but I think that's it for Brooklyn. Miami and Philadelphia. This game probably going to be a good game to watch, but not really for DFS purposes. We'll see about Jimmy Butler's status, but 2 good defensive teams going up against each other. So, like, If Jimmy plays, I really don't think there's anything I'm interested in the Miami side. If Jimmy misses, and like, you know, Bam and Hero both look solid. Again, would be worried about foul trouble for Bam. Hero has played really well recently. I just know if I buy into him, he's going to shoot 5 of 20 and get ejected. But yeah, that's kind of it for Miami. I don't really know if I get to any of the value options. I guess Duncan's okay at 3-7, but he has to hit shots to get value. On the Philadelphia side, so Embiid and Harden, awful matchup, both more secondary options, and that's really it. There's nothing that stands out for me on the Philadelphia side. Toronto and Chicago. So keep an eye on the Van Fleet news. He did not play in the game tonight, but it was due to injury management. So if I had to guess, I would say he plays in this game. And if he does, it would make Toronto less appealing. There would still be some decent options, like Siakam and Van Fleet are probably my 2 favorite plays at the top end, just because both are going to play huge minutes. But like if Van Fleet is out, then obviously you get more usage for like the top guys, and Siakam, Barnes will play point. Gary Trent Jr. should get more shot attempts up, but then you should get a lot more minutes for these, you know, bigs. So like Boucher, even though he came off the bench, he played almost 40 minutes tonight, so he would look amazing. Achua and Ken Birch started next to each other, which I thought was an interesting move. Death would prefer Achua to Birch, and then Thad Young would, you know, see a minutes bump as well. They were in an 8-man rotation, so. If Van Fleet misses the game again tomorrow, then there's a lot to like for Toronto. On the Chicago side, nothing that really stands out. I mean, the prices of the top 3 guys have dropped, but, you know, DeRozan 8-7, Vooch 7-8, Levine 7-6. They all just look okay. I don't think they're out of play, but I don't really think I'm going to start my lineup with any of these guys. We also have Patrick Williams back at the flat min price, but he's going to come off the bench, so not really going to look to him. Also, again, he's more out there for his defense. Value-wise, nothing else really stands out either. So Chicago as a whole doesn't look super appealing. A few games left here, Washington and Houston. Kyle Kuzma, questionable but expected to play. If he does, it obviously is going to downgrade a lot of these Wizards guys. If he plays, I mean, of the 2, Porzingis and Kuzma, I think both look okay, but I think I would lean Porzingis. The only downside of the Porzingis has just been the minutes. Right now, he hasn't played over 30 minutes yet, so you know, that is a downside, but like also he's playing a lot at the 5, and this is one of the best possible matchups. So the 2 main guys I think for Washington would look pretty decent there. KCP feels too pricey for me. If Kuzma's out, then the likes of like Denny Advia and like Rui Hachimura would look a lot better. You know, Daniel Gafford is going to play the backup 5. I think should see 15 to 20 minutes and a fair value, if not a lot more, you know, good value opens up throughout the day tomorrow. The point guard rotation is so gross with Ish Smith, Neto, and Sato. If you want to take a shot on one of those guys and, you know, hope they can play more, then go for it. But again, it's hard to go there for single entry right now. It feels like you're just picking names out of a hat. On the Houston side, I mean, Christian Wood, KPJ, I like the matchup, and this game probably stays competitive. You saw a massive game last time from Wood in a competitive game, and we know like Kevin Porter Jr. has a ceiling as well. So I think the main 2 guys for Houston look pretty good here, just because I do think this game stays competitive. Jalen Green's been playing a little bit better of late as well. Should see over 30 minutes. The only downside is he's kind of score independent, so still has a relatively low floor. Don't really know if I get to anyone else, though, in Houston. Like Sengun, not playing enough for me to pay that price point. Same with Schroeder. Those are 2 guys that, like, if KPJ and Woods sit, then, like, those guys are, you know, great options. But, you know, when KPJ and Wood are both in, they feel a little bit overpriced. I guess Jae'Sean Tate at 4-4 in 25 minutes or so looks okay, too. But I think it's mainly Wood and KPJ that I like in the Houston side. Boston and OKC, so great matchup. Obviously, got to factor in potential blowout here, but, you know, Tatum and Brown both look okay here. Again, love the spot. The bigs and Horford and Williams both look decent as well. Basically, everyone kind of just looks all right for me on Boston. It's just, again, you have to factor in the blowout risk on a 9-game slate. But, like, the main 5 guys, I think, all look pretty good. On the Thunder side, so the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander news is huge. If he plays, obviously he's a decent GPP play, but if he misses, unfortunately, we have to consider the Thunder guys. They ran a 9-man rotation, and you're going to see a ton of usage for the likes of like Baisley and Mann and Pokusevski and Wiggins. Roby started and played pretty solid minutes, played 28 minutes. So the main guys there for the Thunder would all look pretty good if Shai's out, even though it's an awful matchup. And then you could even consider some of the guys on the bench. Like Maladon still saw some decent minutes off the bench, played 21 minutes. I think he would look okay. And then, you know, maybe a guy like Waters too. Waters and Fit. Like, these are guys that they're not going to be productive, but they're also extremely cheap. Those 2 are both min price. So if you think the game blows out, then maybe you can look to those guys. And finally, Minnesota and Dallas. So big news here is Karl Anthony Towns is currently questionable. If he cannot go, then I think Naz Reid stands out as an amazing value play. It would most likely start and play close to 30 minutes. And then you get the backup 5 run for a guy like Nathan Knight, who is a pretty good point per minute guy and would be in play at the Flatman salary. So again, Karl-Anthony Towns news is huge. Also, if Cat cannot go, more usage for the likes of D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. If Cat plays, then I think like the main 3 guys all look decent, but would all be tournament options. I do like Patrick Beverley, however, 4-7. I do think it's too cheap. I mean, it feels like he plays like 1 game and sits out 3. He plays 1 game, gets ejected, right? So like if he plays and the game stays competitive, he's playing around 30 minutes. And again, he can stuff the stat sheet. So like a 4-7, I think that's too cheap for Patrick Beverley. I do like him a good amount there for value. That's probably it. Again, if Cat gets ruled out, then a lot more value opens up for Minnesota. And finally, the Dallas side, so Luka Doncic, 12K, was on pace for a solid game last game. Massive blowout, right? Didn't touch the court in the fourth quarter. Only played 30 minutes. But again, he's doing everything for the team. So Luka, if you have the salary, looks good. Brunson Dinwiddie just feel a little bit too pricey for me. Same with Dorian Finney-Smith. And same with the bigs in Powell and Kleba. So there's really not much else outside of Luka that I like on the Dallas side. But yeah, guys, that will wrap it up for the video. So if you have been enjoying the YouTube videos, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Again, it'll be interesting to see how it can lose tomorrow. What is it going to be? An ejection? Is a game in like a 2-point spread gonna, like, what's gonna happen? Something, something's gonna happen, but hope not. I hope we have none of that bad luck. Hopefully we're back in the green. But yeah, guys, that's all I got. Enjoy the rest of your night, and again, I will see everyone in the next video.